What an evening. Anyway, hospital porters, pride and dignity, stop the New World Order. Welcome to Panwo TV. And the last time you saw me this sunny, it was in Indian Wells at Contact in the Desert, which is now started again, and I can't get there, unfortunately, which is a shame. No Contact in the Desert this year, and no Ben in the Desert 3 just yet, but that will maybe next year. But it's been a really, in terms of the weather, it's been both lovely and horrible, depending on how you see it. And I know Rhiannon's not a fan of the hot weather. I am when you're sitting in a beer garden or at the Esmeralda with a nice glass of white wine at your elbow or in an air-conditioned room, it's fine. But when you're working in it and you're outdoors, it's a nightmare. It's been really gruelling. But it's a bit cooler today, actually. But this evening it's warmed up. Now you'll recognise this. You don't normally see it. I don't think you've seen it like this before. I'm not sure, with all the green trees around it. But yeah, it's the famous railway bridge. It's the Roving Review Railway Bridge. At least when I go to the View Cinema, which I'm going to today. And yeah, first thing I got to realise, I went and got the bus. Normally I'd walk this, you see, but I went and got the bus today. But it's actually only when I got off the bus I realised I'd forgotten my bloody glasses. Damn it. I mustn't do that when I go to Disclosure Day. But I have bought my tickets for Disclosure Day. I got the first showing, actually, in the country. And I'm only the second person to buy a ticket. There was just one person ahead of me, and I booked a ticket in front, sitting in the seat behind them, so we can. They're probably a massive enthusiast like me, and we can have a good conversation. So I mustn't forget my glasses when I go to Disclosure Day. Yeah, I mean, see, my eyesight's not so bad that I need to wear them all the time. Like, I don't drive or anything, you know. But at the same time, I don't wear them because they keep falling off. You know, if you don't need glasses and you're wearing them all the time, it's a pain in the ass because they get in the way, they get dirty, things like that, they fall off. But I do need them for like things like cinema, theatre, stuff like that. And I forgot them when I went to see John Ronson the other day. Mind you, the show was so bad that I, as you know if you read her Banmo voice, the show was so awful. I began to be glad of that. But anyway, I'm back here going to the View Cinema once again. One of my usual cinematic haunts, one of my usual big screen rendezvous or destinations, and I'm going to still watch. It's almost 6 o'clock, but it's still quite warm here. I would normally go and see an earlier showing, but this is actually the first showing, so I've got a ticket for the first showing. And we go under the bridge here. Yes, the last time I did sorry, I'm rambling a bit, but the last time I did a roving review here at this cinema, I think it may have actually been the last one I did. I think it was the If film, Imaginary Friends. Do you remember that? Which was much better than I expected. It was a lot better than I expected it to be. Here we go. And there's the Oxford Science Park down here. You recognise all this? The film I'm going to see today is called Backrooms. Now, I honestly never heard about this. I've never heard of this before, because the film is actually an adaptation of like an internet franchise. Never heard of it before. God, what are they building here? But it turns out it's created by someone called Kane Parsons, who also created a series of short videos on YouTube. And it all emerges from one of these things that fascinate me. It's one of these strange, possibly true story, probably isn't kind of things. A bit like Project Anchor, which I've just made a video about. And I mean, I didn't even look to see what it's about. I didn't go and look into the details because I don't want like spoilers or anything like that. Because I'm watching a movie, I don't want to know anything beforehand. It's like some people have sent me, oh look, someone sent me yesterday, look, there's this review there's this review in the Daily Mail of Disclosure Day, and they really like it. And I'd said I don't want to read it, I want to watch the movie first. And obviously I haven't read reviews of this, I haven't looked much into the background in case I get like spoilers. But it appears to be one of these creepypasta things. And I know from the trailer, and I only heard about this when I watched the trailer, and I thought, oh my god, this looks good. This looks bloody good. So the trailer looked really fascinating. And what can I say about it? Well, it's very yellow. There's a lot of yellow in it. If you go to images and search Backrooms, and it's Backrooms. The Backrooms is the series. Backrooms is the movie. But the series came out in 2022, and this movie's 2026. You'll see lots and lots of yellow, sort of bright, kind of sort of signal yellow, and it appears to be about a man who discovered a parallel world, or like a portal of some kind. And these things fascinate me, and I'll know that much from watching the trailer. And of course, this subject matter fascinates me, as you know. I've made videos about this. I went all the way to Brighton once, specifically to make a video about this subject. So, yeah, and it seems to be something like that. But anyway, that's apparently what it's about. I don't know much about it except Kane Parsons directs it. He's got a writer as well, co-wrote it with him. This doesn't seem to be like a big Hollywood thing. It looks like some kind of independent production. The cast are names I don't recognise. The lead character is played by someone called Cheatwell Ejiofor, which is a good name. Strange name. But we'll see what it's like. That's all I can tell you, really, because that's all I really wanted to know beforehand. Sometimes you know too much, it ruins the experience. But I'm going down here this alleyway. It'll all be very familiar to you if you're a regular viewer and you like these roving reviews. And I'm going to head for the cinema, the View Cinema. I'm a little bit early, but I like to get a bit early, and I booked in advance this time because it's the first day, because it's like first night. I booked in advance. I've got the first showing as well. Normally I go like in the afternoon to a matinee and pay on the door, but in this case I booked in advance, like I did with Disclosure Day. So that's the next step, and I always feel a tinge of heartbreak when I walk past here. The pub that used to be here, do you remember that? All boarded up now. This lovely old pub that was it was where I first met that weird guy who told me that Jack, the guy who told me he'd been to Antarctica. I first met, no, that's the second time I met him. The first time was in Duke of Monmouth, I remember. The second time was in there. So now it's gone. It's gone. I think I was like 300 years old, that pub, when it shut. There you go. And we're going to the Kassam Stadium, where I made an Old Tech exclusive a few months ago, which I can't really talk about on YouTube. But this is the horseshoe-shaped home of Oxford United. So, yeah. I don't know when. I'm not a big football fan, so I've lost track of when they were last demoted. But anyway, they were relegated like one league per season. I remember after their success in the Milk Cup, and that's apparently a league record. No one league per season. Oh dearie me, they should literally plummeted. Do you remember that? Anyway, yes, it's still bloody warm, I'll tell you. And here you can see this is the Kassam Leisure Complex. But anyway, here we are. Right, time to go into the cinema. The cinema's just around the corner. Time to go in there, and I will see you when I come out. Okay, I'm out. I've seen it. Seen the film, and the first thing I have to say about it, I suppose, is what happened? I mean, I suppose at this point I describe the film to you, and maybe do like a little review, which will include some spoilers and things like that. But in this case I can't, because I didn't understand it. It's weird. I mean, I can give it a basic description, but certainly to begin with, it seems quite a coherent movie. But then it descends into something truly surreal, which I couldn't make head or tail of. But anyway, it's quite ambitious actually. It's an independent film from Canada, and like I said, there's no famous actors in it. I mean, Cheatwell Ejiofor, I actually do recognise. I must have seen him somewhere, I don't know where. The others I have never seen in my life, the other cast members. Maybe this is something because as I said earlier, you know, this is like an adaptation from a creepypasta in a YouTube series by the same guy, Kane Parsons. It was originally an anonymous post on one of, I think it was on 4chan or 8kun, saying like, it's one of these maybe true, maybe not, probably not, it's kind of scary things, you know, creepypasta. And it certainly begins. There's a prologue scene with a man in a hazmat suit exploring this strange place, and it's very frightening because he's scared, he's lost, and he says he radios home saying come and get me, and then he gets attacked by this thing you can't see. In horror movies, you know, the less you can see of something, the scarier it is, of course. That was the problem with the Blob. It was too obvious. I can describe it's kind of basically to you, but I mean, I think I'm going to have to go home and do some more research. It could be this is actually a movie that's aimed at people who are already familiar with the story, or aimed at people who already are familiar with the creepypasta and the YouTube. Maybe it's primarily for viewers like that. And if I go home and I start researching these things, which I deliberately avoided doing so I wouldn't have any like preconceived notions of what the film, maybe then I'll be able to kind of, if I do that, then maybe, you know, I can give it a better review. I think that's what I'm going to have to do. It's very rare I do that, but I'm going to have to do it in this case. Anyway, there was a Disclosure Day trailer. Yeah, I thought there might be. There was a Disclosure Day trailer, and it was a recut. I've seen it all. Bits I've seen before, but it was recut into a new trailer I'd not seen before. And I went, yeah, when I saw it. Anyway, I hope that's a little bit more comprehensive than what I've just seen. Backrooms. Now, maybe I should see the YouTube. The Backrooms is like this series of shorts. Maybe I need to watch those. Basically, the same people behind those shorts are behind the movies, like same company, same director, writer, thing like that. Although he had a co-writer for this, like I've said. Basically, it starts off very coherently. There's this man called Clark, that's Cheatwell Ejiofor's character, who's having psychotherapy by this Kate. Her name is Dr. What's her name? Hang on, got my notes out. Dr. Mary Klein, her name is. She's one of these talk therapist people. Sort of very, very prim, slim, kind of like educated and very sophisticated person, you know. And he's going through his life saying things like, well, I hurt people, I'm stuck in this kind of loop of not getting too close to people so they don't hurt me and things like this. A lot of people make those complaints about their life. I suppose I do as well. But he says I hurt people as well. He's got a drink problem, you find out. You also find out that he's homeless. He's actually living in this shop he runs, furniture store. He's actually sleeping in one of the beds in the store, watching a TV that he gets from the display. But his wife left him. He had his wife called Barbara. She walked out on him because he came home late from the store. He'd been drinking, and they had an argument when he broke a glass. So often little things like trigger these much bigger, deeper issues, and then she walked out. He runs this thing called Captain Clark, and he plays this role as a pirate. It's his own story. He owns it and manages it. And although you find out he's actually also trained as an architect, and he has this shop which sells settees, tables, TV cabinets, all kinds of furniture. And funnily enough, it has a kind of retro feel to this. I feel it's maybe set in the 90s. There's like CRT televisions, there's tapes and VCRs, videos, and anyone younger than me is going, what the hell is he talking about? Well, a VCR is kind of Netflix in a black plastic brick. You've got it, kids? Black plastic brick, yes. Things like that. So it's sort of set in the 90s. As usual, I made some notes here, which I can't read because it was all dark. And then this things aren't quite right because the shop is getting lots of electrical problems. Like the electrics go off every now and again, and they bring this in an electrician. They can't work out exactly what's causing it. The electrician runs several tests, And he finds there's this mysterious switch which seems to do nothing. It's just... what's happening down there? This stream's gone back to smelling bad. It smelled nice for a while, but it's gone back to smelling of sewage. Yeah, the switch doesn't seem to do anything. The electrician says, just like someone just put it there, doesn't do anything. It's not connected to anything. And then, but it all continues. These glitches continue, and because he's essentially living in his own shop, he's trying to watch TV at night, and the TV goes off, and he gets fed up, and in the end, he finds there's this light glowing on the wall, big long line of light, very like something I saw on The Darkest Secret once. And it's also, there's several things in this movie that make me think it's reminiscent of others. Some that I've seen, but some you might have seen too, like Memoirs of a Survivor by Doris Lessing. That's a good book and a film. We could do a watch-read party for that, and the book and the film are very close, so should be easy enough to do. But there's this, he discovers there's this portal in the basement of his store, and it leads to this place you've seen in the trailers, this weird network of corridors and rooms, all painted this strange custard yellow, although later on you find there's places with different colours, you know. But the standard decor is this strange custard yellow. And it often has weird things in it, like furniture in it, like what he sells at the store, but it's all piled up in random patterns. Sometimes it's half buried in the floor, sometimes it's embedded in the walls. It's weird. There's little weird passageways leading off, including small crawl spaces. It seems like a network. You don't know how far it goes, and he becomes obsessed with this. He spends every spare moment exploring it. He draws maps of it, and he can't find the end of it. And eventually he gets two of his employees to help, and the two people at the store, this young couple, and then it starts to get very brutal and violent. And one of the men, you hear the, well, I don't know if I describe it because it's a typical horror movie thing, you know. He goes down this dark sloping corridor with a rope, and they're screaming, and then he comes back up, and then before he can untangle the rope, something pulls him back down again, and then Clark goes down, then there's blood everywhere. There will be a few spoilers in this, I know. And there's piles of laundry, and it's really creepy, and some of it's slightly reminiscent of things. Like, seems to be, like, it's almost like these Backrooms are based on his own life. I mean, you have, like, for example, it's the furniture piled everywhere. It's like his store. It's almost like a manifestation of his own internal psyche, and it's like Rimmerworld, you know, Red Dwarf, where there's actually a physical world is created based on someone's mind. I mean, maybe that's what it's meant to be, and that's my best interpretation of what it is. But the rest of it, you know, then it becomes, after that, becomes very surreal. There's a few found footage shots as well, which are quite stylish. It's very well done, very scary, very frightening. I mean, it's scary. It's a horror movie, very scary. It reminds me, like, of Memoirs of a Survivor, which is, as again, we should do a watch-read party for that. It's bloody good. And also, it has similarities to. It has similarities to other things, such as any story where you have, like, these interdimensional portals, like Chronicles of Narnia, where there's like a wardrobe, and there's other ways and means that the children access the land of Narnia. You know, they're on a railway station. There's one when they go for a painting. That was a good one. Yeah, and it's things like that, interdimensional portals that take you to another world. And he goes to try and convince his therapist that this is true. She doesn't believe him. He says, "I'm going to get you proof, and you'll owe me a fucking apology." He just brings some things out from the back rooms into the store, like, but it looks just like the things that are already there, and very strange. But it's also got other similarities. I mean, it reminds me. I mean, the surreal nature and the fact that sometimes you get corridors going upwards out at the ceiling, and it reminds me of the the various sketches by M.C. Escher, you know, the drawings by M.C. Escher, the famous Dutch artist who he created these kind of strange forced perspective images. They're very, very well known, they're very good. And it's also, of course, it's like because these things are very, very strange. It's very like a kind of maze or labyrinth. And in fact, the first time we went in, I thought, be careful, don't get lost, because like everything looks as though these corridors, even though they have different similarities, it's easy to get lost because they're all the same colour. This sort of dirty signal yellow, custard yellow colour. And the first time we went in there, I thought you're going to get lost. And there's other elements as well, like you hear the Voyager, you know, the Voyager golden disc, with all the greetings from the members of the United Nations in all the, you know, it's 200 languages, greetings to the aliens. You hear that being played, and it's almost sort of slightly reminiscent of the, you know, Ulysses in the Labyrinth with the Minotaur. And indeed, it comes avec Minotaur. Not literally, but the horrible creatures wandering around, you know, predatory creatures that are scary. Also, I mean, it has some similarities to Philip Pullman, you know, the man himself is a twant, but his books are brilliant. And Jacob's Ladder, which of course I've reviewed. There's also Charlie Kaufman, you know, his surreal works, such as Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which I've also done a review video of, and where they go into the strange world inside someone's head. And then also another one he did, which is called Being John Malkovich, which is also very good. Gonna get the bus. I'm really tired. So I'm kind of like. And also Stalker, you know, there's this classic Russian movie called Stalker by Andrei Tarkovsky. That's another one. It's like that as well. So it has reminiscences of all these other movies I've seen. I'm gonna have to wait 20 minutes. But might as well bloody walk. But yeah, I'm gonna walk a little bit. But yeah, I'm gonna walk it. But one must have just left because they go every 20 minutes. So that's what it all reminded me of. Whether these things inspired the filmmaker or not, I don't know. But you know, apart from that, there's not a lot I know, except she's not the only. You know, Clark is not the only one interested in it. It turns out there's another person interested in it, and he's been exploring it himself, and he's even created an organisation to explore this strange world. It's not a physical place. It's literally built into the wall. It's accessed through the wall of a basement. Because at first, Clark thinks it's like a secret underground or base or something. It's really, really huge. Like I say, you can't find an end to it. It seems to go on forever. But you know, then there's someone else who's already been looking into it. I'm just kind of like, there's a lot of mystery. There's a lot of intrigue in this, which is what I like about these sorts of films. But I just don't get it. It's surreal. Especially at the second act of the movie. It's split into, when you say 2 acts, I'd say. The second one is just, like I said, I don't understand it. It starts off quite comprehensively. The first part, her starts quite comprehensive. Then it goes into another world. It goes into another kind of like, it seems almost like a second movie, you know, like different from the first movie. Like, of course, last year's St. Theo's Watch Party, which was The World's End. That does the same thing. It lurches very, very abruptly and very obtrusively from one kind of film into another. So, I can't add any more, I think. I'm going to have to go home. I mean, normally I go home, just read the reviews and that'll be it, but I'm going to have to do a lot more this time, I think. Trying to work out exactly what the hell have I just seen. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to do now. Alright guys, I'm home now, and I've done a little bit of extra research, and it turns out I was absolutely right. The film I've just seen is simply it's a spin-off. Basically, it's a spin-off. Big screen version of a much larger milieu, and that milieu is basically the Backrooms franchise, which consists of it started off as a creepypasta. I found the original creepypasta, and here it is. It's this here. This was on 4chan originally. It just said unsettling images, which had these kind of this was the first one. This was the first one ever, and it's this here. It's called Unsettling. And now the reason they found it unsettling, the reason they said it was unsettling was basically it was kind of liminal space. Liminal space is actually it's an artistic aesthetic. I didn't know, and I understand it completely, even though I didn't know it was called that. It's any place which is I made some notes here. It's any place that is kind of ordinary. It's but looks different. It's, for example, it's an ordinary looking place, something you would recognize, but there's something wrong with it, and it has a different atmosphere as a result. I mean, a perfect example would be, for example, if I went into a classroom at my school when I was a kid, when I went into a classroom at my school at night, I would recognize it. I would know that was my school classroom, but I normally saw it in daylight. It would look very, very different if seeing it in that situation. Therefore, that could be described as a liminal space. Another good example, which you'll probably recognize the moment I describe it, is imagine a hotel. Imagine a hotel which is, of course, busy and full of guests, but in the winter, everyone goes home and there's no one in it, except maybe the caretaker and his family. Yes. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? Here's Johnny. Yeah, Stephen King and indeed Stanley Kubrick actually developed that liminal space very well in that particular movie. You know, that's a good example of a liminal space being used to create a very, very spooky atmosphere, which results in this really dramatic and frightening tale. And indeed, Backrooms is very similar. It may be very, very similar indeed. Now, it's only when I started looking into it I realized exactly what the whole thing was. And the film I saw, the whole Clark story and the Mary story, that was all. It was all just an example of many, many other kind of narratives that have come out of this particular field, this particular idea. And I do recommend go to the Backrooms. Please go to the Backrooms YouTube channel. Here it is. Sorry, I'll just find it for you. It's Kane Pixels. This is him. This is Kane Parsons' YouTube channel. I'm really pleased he's done well, actually, because he did all this. He did all this like just as a YouTuber, like I did, and it's been picked up by like a film company. It's been made into like a big screen movie, which has gone on general release, even though it's an independent production. It's gone on general release. Now here's some of the Backrooms things, and I'll show you there's actually a playlist here. If I go back here, there's actually a play. It begins. I mean, I don't know if I could show you this. Can I claim fair use on this? I can show you the first. It's from the 90s. It's an good old-fashioned 90s videotape camera, and you got this film crew here. Parsons plays the director. They're basically filming. You see, they're filming this creature attacking. Amateur horror movie, basically. Hope you can see that. Yeah, you can. Good. And I'll just show this first couple of minutes, and you'll get the picture.
Camera rolling. All right, and action. All right, cut.
Yeah, that's just a scene in the film. I mean, this isn't the movie. This is the movie being shot. Isn't the actual story. The film crew in this shoot is actually part of the story.
That was good, guys. All right, that was good. I'm thinking we get a wide angle, and then we're done. Okay?
All right. Yeah. Cool. Like how much further? Like
a little more. Right. A little more.
You got it?
Yeah.
Whoa. The cameraman has just fallen through a portal in the ground. And where does he find himself? This is Backrooms. See, that's a great 80s sort of 90s aesthetic. And there it is. You see, it's the same. And basically, this clip, it's this 9-minute short here, kind of fits. It kind of it's kind of a summary of the entire movie that I've just seen. Actually, the movie that I'm reviewing now. Although, of course, there's extra storyline in this, because, in essentially, I say the Clark story is just like a kind of like, it's a spin-off of someone who discovers the Backrooms independently. But you see here, there were like 22 of these films here. I've watched a few of them, as you can see. I'm sort of on the third one. I'm going to go through some more later on. But I do recommend going and watching them. You know, I reckon this deserves a live stream, even though this is not a watch party. It may be worth like doing a live stream when you guys have all seen it, because this is fascinating. This is absolutely fascinating, and it's again, it was inspired by that 4chan post, and it talks about this idea. And I suppose what happened was that Kane got the idea for this from that, and he thought he could devise it into a world where basically there's this parallel world. And as I said in the movie has this plot line that I don't quite understand, which could be, I suppose, the best way. I think probably the best way to interpret the plot line in the movie is that Clark's mind has somehow been adapted into an entire universe that can be a physical universe that can be accessed through a portal. As I said, like that episode of Red Dwarf, Rimmer World. Slaxer will know what I'm talking about, where an entire planet is created out of Rimmer's mind. The character Rimmer, his mind, expects sickness. It's Rimmer's mind. Remember that classic line in that episode? And this is kind of the same, which is why when Clark actually enters the Backrooms, he sees like things that seem to be part of his mind. So, for example, he sees furniture piled up in weird places. Sometimes it's sort of warped and distorted, because, as he says later on, you know, the Backrooms doesn't create everything exactly. It remembers things wrongly sometimes. I don't know what that means exactly, but it implies that the creation of the universe is not entirely accurate, and it's half buried in the floor, things like that. All kinds of other weird stuff like that. It's very, very surreal. But you've just seen the cameraman basically fall. He doesn't go through the wall. He goes through the ground into the Backrooms. And presumably all the other cast and crew members are going, where the hell's he gone? He just disappeared. So maybe this is what happens to people in the missing 411. I don't know. But anyway, to summarize, I can summarize that short film for you. He basically runs around the Backrooms, and it's really scary, because he is chased by this monster. And at the very end, the camera comes back into our world. It appears, it comes through the portal high up in the sky, and it drops to the ground, and it lands in some park, and you see it just sort of lying in the grass. And there's blades of grass right by the lens. You can hear bird song in the background. I've started watching the others. I watched the second and the third one. I'm going to keep watching the rest. And like I said, we could come back to this and do a live stream, because this stuff is fascinating. But what it implies is there's this something called Async, which is like this research institute that discovers the Backrooms, which the Phil character in the movie is part of that. It's part of that. And what happens is the premise is that this is set in the 1990s, but in the 80s, this organization, Async Research, which is some kind of fictional research institute, discovers the Backrooms through some. I don't know exactly how that works yet, because I haven't watched the entire series. But I know that from looking at the thumbnails, that there's some people who go in there with hazmat suits. They're the people who rescue Mary at the end of the movie from this strange world, which I couldn't quite understand at the time. And this is after she's been chased by a monster. The movie is like a really accurate adaptation of just the first 9-minute clip you see at the beginning. You could just watch that one, and you kind of get the movie a lot better. And so, I mean, I do wonder if things like this actually exist. There are actually these organizations that have portals and actually access portals. I mean, there's rumors they were doing this at Peasmore. You know, they're interdimensional portals and things like that. They were creating them at Montauk and places like that. Maybe it's real. It's very, very like the plot of Stranger Things. I'm sure some of you have already worked that out. It really is. And we don't know exactly again, we still don't know exactly. There's no real. Maybe it's better there isn't a full explanation for this, because then it leaves it up to the. It leaves it, I suppose, up to the imagination of the viewer. You need to leave some things up to the imagination of whoever is perceiving what you're creating. This is why Steven Spielberg was so against like the recut of the new version of Close Encounters, because it showed inside the spaceship. He always said we mustn't let the viewer see inside the spaceship. They've got to imagine it. And indeed, when he did his final director's cut, he took that scene out. Yeah. So basically, it comes from an internet creepypasta. It comes from an internet meme, which appeared on 4chan, like so many of these things do, and just and people just, as they often do online, they picked it up, they applied their imagination to it. In the case of Kane Parsons, he's done it in a very, very creative and fertile way. And this entire world, I mean, it's wherever you go through these corridors with this strange sort of mustard yellow background, which I've got here, and my hands are turning into it now. It's like I'm in the Backrooms. It's called clipping out where you enter the Backrooms. That's the word they use. It's called clipping. Was it clipping in or clipping out? I can't remember. But they call it. This is what they call where you basically go through a portal. You go through this portal, and then you come out, the other side. You literally just rip, and you come out the other side in the back. It's so-called no clipping. Sorry, it's called no clipping. I'm just looking through my notes here. It's called no clipping. And again, it's like the stories about the missing 411, especially the ones where they describe portals. It's like I sometimes see people see reports seeing these portal zones suddenly appearing and these strange creatures coming in and out of it. It's like that. It's like that. It's almost like an occult thing where there's some kind of spell that drags you into another world, which is like Stranger Things. So I think clarifies an awful lot for me. And despite my commitment to not doing any background research and just accepting the film on its own accord and its own merits, I actually realized that in this particular case, you're better off if you want to go and watch this movie at the cinema, you're better off watching the series on YouTube first, because then you'll get it. Or just even the first one. The first one's really good, actually. I haven't watched all of them yet, but I've sort of been looking through the synopses of them, and I know I kind of know what they're going on. And it's all to do with the guys in the hazmat suits are actually the async people. Indeed, in the prologue of the movie, I described this guy in a hazmat suit who gets lost inside, and he calls for help, and then this creature comes and chases him. That is terrifying, you know. I mean, and it's done really well in Kane's little clip there, where the creature is chasing him down these corridors. I mean, that is just so scary. I mean, it's not original. I mean, there's hundreds of horror films where that happens, where someone's running down corridors, and there's this thing going in the background. Usually, you just see a quick clip of it, or you don't see it properly, which makes it even more scary. But it's so well done in this. It's so well done. So please do go and watch these little videos here. Do watch this series of videos, and then maybe go and see the movie. It'll make a lot more sense to you if you do that. And then finally, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look at what the critics have to say. As you know, I'm not a fan of the critics particularly. I mean, I don't see why critics should have so much authority over what we think and feel. And I can make my own mind up, thank you. I don't need some boffin from the bloody Guardian telling me what to think. But it's surprising the number of people who do this. They say, well, shall I go and see this movie? Has it had good reviews? I better read the reviews first before I decide whether I want to see this for myself. Why? Why? Don't let the bloody critics do your thinking for you, man. No, Sodom. And we'll think I've actually found one called Metacritic here. And where is it? Here we go. There's one called Metacritic. And I think it's I don't know what voice I will use for Meta. Oops, what's happening now? I don't know what voice I'm going to use for Metacritic, actually. But anyway, this is it here. I suppose I'll do like a kind of overbite like that. Overbite. There we go, like that. And then
How the critics, they go, they go like that and they have a voice like this. You know, that's what I'll do. Yeah. That's what I'll do. So it says here, summary, a strange doorway appears in the basement of a furniture showroom. That's it. It's got cheap energy for Renati Rinsev, Matt D. Flash, and I don't know who any of these people are, by the way. But I think this is just like a Rotten Tomatoes kind of thing. You know, Los Angeles Times gave it 100, Q Static, whoever they are, don't know what they are. Daily Beast gave it 85. Time Out gave it 80. Seems quite popular. Generally favorable, 77% on critic reviews. User reviews, 7.3. Generally favorable. They obviously use different numbers here. So it looks as if, guys, you seem to be, and we'll see what Rotten Tomatoes says, but according to that Metacritic, you viewers are defying the critics. Oh my God, I hate that phrase, defying the critics. Don't you know the critics have authority and you have to obey them? You don't know. You can rebel. You can defy the critics, man. Yes, you can. Now, don't defy me. You're that's what film I tell you to watch. Anyway, on the subject of Rotten Tomatoes, let's see what they have to say. Anyway, Backrooms, horror, sci-fi. Is it sci-fi? They describe it as science fiction. It's not science fiction, this. It's more like supernatural. It says a strange doorway appears in the basement of a furniture showroom. And it says here, let's have a look here. It gives a list. This is similar to the Metacritic thing, I think. Rotten Tomatoes is just similar. But as you can see here, where is it? The Tomatometer gives it 90% in terms of reviews and the 74% in verified ratings. Mind you, as I said, it looks like the critics are defying the viewers right now when it comes to Rotten Tomatoes. However, the film has only been released today, so it's only been seen by probably a handful of people. I'm one of the first people to see it because I went to see the first showing. So this could change, actually. It generally looks like it's a very popular movie, which strange. I mean, when I was actually in the auditorium at the end of it, people around me are going, "What the fuck? Is that it?" And I've noticed that most of the people around me are quite young. They were sort of like teenagers, 20-somethings. Maybe it's like this is more for a kind of like I don't want to sound patronising. The more mature audience, perhaps. You know, maybe that's the way to say it. Anyway, let's see what we got here. We have the Irish Times. So now I don't want to subscribe. Backrooms review: Kane Parsons' exquisite direction brings Webb's scariest creepypasta to the big screen. Chiwetel Ejiofor and Renata Rinsev star as damaged souls, no clipping through liminal purgatory of never-ending office space. There's so much elaborate lore around the Backrooms. Again, we've talked about the this is the back way. So a lot of people, looks like people have heard about this before, haven't they? But it talks about 2019, a single uncanny photograph posted on a forgotten corner of the internet, featuring a jaundiced drywall under fluorescent lights in a never-ending office space. It's a good idea, actually, isn't it? It's a good thing here, isn't it? The Backrooms quickly became one of the internet's scariest nightmares, liminal purgatory of empty corporate spaces wherein reality itself glitches and you no-clip out of the world. This collective hallucination has dropped the definite article to become Backrooms, so it's not there anymore. The hottest A24 production horror of the year. It succeeds where other creepypasta adaptations take a bow, like Slender Man, have dismally failed and require no prior knowledge of its storied history. There's no Slender Man movie. That's right, isn't it? That's right, yeah. A24's tasked Kane Parsons, 20-year-old filmmaker. He's a young chap. And he's done a lot, actually, for someone so young. Yeah, that's quite something, yeah. Let's just see. Well, basically, I'm not going to read all of this, but this particular person, this particular reviewer, Tara Brady, seems quite impressed by this. And says here, AG4 clever manifests a character caught between psychic dislocation and male privilege. How can you accuse him of male privilege? He's a black man. He's a person of colour. All right, is this the Irish equivalent of The Guardian? Anyway, it's Alice, alienated Wonderland, upsetting from the opening gambit. But sit tight. Like the space it depicts, there's infinitely more to come. I wouldn't say that, actually. The infinitely more to come is actually it's actually gets confusing and surreal, like I said. And I said, if you're not familiar with this whole thing, then if you're not familiar with this entire idea of the entire franchise, then you probably wouldn't understand it as I didn't understand it. Mm. And then it describes how when Clark goes and sees Mary, and there's Mary when she enters the back rooms herself, because she didn't believe him at first, because she's like a psychotherapist. She talks to lunatics all the time. She thinks she's just having a delusion. But anyway, that's Tara Brady of the Irish Times, who seemed very impressed with it. And of course, no Herpanwo TV roving film review would be complete without the Garidian. Here we go. No, I don't want to support you. Get out of the way. I would never support you bastards. Anyway, the Garidian. This is Peter Bradshaw. Oh, he gives it 5 stars. Backrooms review. Kane Parsons' icily disturbing horror rewrites the entire rule book. Let's see what he says. And he gives her a little. He obviously gives here a brief overview of the whole the whole thing. He points out that Clark is homeless and has to sleep in one of the beds in his own shop. And then he also mentions this non-Narnia. He mentions the connection here between the Chronicles, like the C.S. Lewis idea of the Narnia through the wardrobe, that's not very Guardian-like, because C.S. Lewis was a right-wing white male. And it says here, the production designed by Danny Vermette is amazing, combining genuine constructions and digital fabrication. With cinematographer Jeremy Cox, they create an ineffably oppressive, crepuscular kind of dead yellowish light. A light that leaks like radon gas from the strip lighting of a million mall stores and office buildings. That's true, actually. It really is very well done. This strange world is very well brought to life. Backrooms thank goodness progressively, raises its game towards the big finish with jump stairs, squirm stairs, and tiny shiver scares. Oh, tiny shiver scares. There's lots of different scares. Yeah, I mean, I must admit, the ending. I don't have to spoil it for you really, because it's obvious what happens. Despite there's these really surreal scenes where you think you're getting inside Clark's mind, and he's like he's created this strange world. Like there's this one scene where they're sitting around the table eating dinner, and it's creepy and it's a bit horrible, and at the same time rather cringe, and I wanted it to be over. But then it gets more exciting, because then Mary is chased in the same way that the character in the Backrooms video the original Backrooms video is chased by some creature, and it's really well done. It's horribly scary. She goes into various different parts of the Backrooms, and even it does remind me of Being John Malkovich, if you've never seen that. This is Charlie Kaufman's movie. He wrote it. He's the one who created Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, who script wrote it and created the story. There's a scene like where they are going through this weird, strange world, where they keep going through portals into one part of this guy's mind and then the next, and things like that. It's very, very good. And this is similar. One point she's like crawling along a ledge, and there's this vertiginous drop, and it's really, really. I went, ugh! It's really good. So yeah, so the Guardian likes it. Normally, when the Guardian likes something, I think it's got to be crap. But in this case, I have to agree with them. I've got to agree with this person. It does have its good sides, and now I understand it. I think I appreciate it more. Maybe I should go back and watch it again. Maybe that would be the thing to do. Because I understand things like the fact that the missing, there's one scene where they have posters for missing people along on these in the Backrooms on these telegraph poles, indicating this is like a kind of again, it's a facsimile of the real world where these people are missing and they can't be found. There's Clark and his 2 assistants, and then Mary eventually goes back to the institute, this async, where she's kept in this institute, where she's rescued by the async people who take her out of a different portal. But then what's weird is the Backrooms scene with the telegraph poles. The telegraph poles slowly sink into the ground. They're going along like that with the wires, and each one is a bit lower, and it's sinking into the floor. This is what's it's very like Stalker, because there's a very famous scene in Stalker like that, which is probably what inspired it. So that's it. Yeah. So I recommend going to see this. I really, really do. And maybe we can do a live stream about it, because I feel this project is expanding. And like I said, I'd have got more out of the film if I had known a bit more beforehand, which is quite unusual for movies. But I do think this spin-off is only understood, like many spin-offs. You don't understand it unless you're familiar with the actual franchise it comes from. If you can't watch, you can't watch Babylon 5 unless you've watched Star Trek. You can't understand Babylon 5 unless you've watched Star Trek, that kind of thing. Anyway, that's it. So go and see it. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Like I said, this could be subject for a live stream in a little while. Thank you for watching Japanmo TV. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order. And my yellow arm there. Yeah. My arm has entered the back rooms.